was an interesting topic. This happened a few days ago where, we'll start with this. We saw a pretty big debate that got heated. And this was Rick Santelli on CNBC arguing with Andrew Sorkin about how the rules are when it comes to closing some businesses down and others are able to stay open. And how, Santelli was saying these rules make absolutely no sense. But Sorkin, who wasn't even part of this conversation, right? I mean, they had like 6 people up on the windows and stuff like that. And to the point where he came in and interrupted Santelli. And Santelli was like, wait, who is this? Who's speaking right now? Like, he didn't even know. But Sorkin felt that, he had to inject his opinion. And he just started ripping Santelli on how big box retailers and restaurants and churches are not the same. They're not the same. And they require different rules. And he said he used a magic word, which everybody loves to move, based on science, even though there's zero science. Explaining why Walmart should stay open, but other retailers that sell similar things can't, in smaller nature, right? There's no science saying that one would be safer than the other, right? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense why indoor dining would be closed, but, again, a Target would be open, right? Which is crazy. But it was pretty heated back and forth. It goes to I guess, what's going on and debate going on right now, right? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great snapshot and picture of what's going on. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Rick Santelli. I mean, I think he's wonderful. We need to get him on the podcast. You need to talk to that guy. I always enjoy his segments. He's just a straightforward guy and uses a lot of common sense. The thing that stood out to me there was, you notice what they didn't say. They didn't talk about the death rate. They didn't talk about how many people have maybe gotten it through small dining to big box retailers. And it was hilarious because when Sorkin led in with the whole, how did he say it, public service announcement, or, as a public service now, we want all of our, and that's what everybody goes to the heart to pull on the strings of your heart. If you want to get something through, you gotta talk about either children or the health of everybody. And it's just hilarious because you don't talk about any stats. And I thought it was brilliant how Santelli said, 500 people in a Lowe's is no safer than 150 people in a restaurant that can hold 6 people. And, science disagrees. Well, it's okay to disagree with that because you have to use the brain God gave you in your head every once in a while. Yeah. And that summed up the best argument I've seen between somebody that just wants to heed power over others and make all the decisions. Like Santelli said. And who was the, who's the economist on the balded guy? He's always on CNBC.
The economist, which guy?
Now I'll think about it in a minute.
Okay.
But what was interesting is that Santelli said, hey, where I live, restaurants are pushing back, they're opening up, and everything's fine. And a guy chimed in and said, oh, how's that working out for you? Yeah, I think so. Oh, how's that working out for you, Rick? How's that working out for you? I mean, just being a total rude, smart-ass, condescending guy. And again, but you don't talk about facts. You don't talk about data. You just say, hey, science and trying to keep everybody safe. This is the biggest tug-of-war over control of individualism easily in the last 10 to 20 to 30 years. And it's scary, and people need to pay attention. And this is a good segue. We can get into both coasts on the East and the West. You got people pushing back. And I know you were ranting against the anti-capitalist movement and a lot of the reading here. But, small businesses, individualism is awesome. Did you hear about the bar in England? Is it England?
I heard about the bar in Staten Island, obviously, but not in England.
Well, I'll get to that in just a second because he had a brilliant idea. They did the autonomous zone, correct?
Yes.
The Staten Island guy, the tequila bar, and it's 400 Rabbits tequila. And this is over in England somewhere. They are registering as a church so it can reopen. Because I guess in England, churches were still open. I don't know all the details. This just caught me, so I could be off here a little bit. But they were so you go from 400 Rabbits tequila to, quote, the Church of the 400 Rabbits. And I guess he was going through the process of trying to get these petitions signed or whatever the hoops you got to jump through over there. But so you're converting to a church to stay open. Imagine how strong the wine would be at communion for that, depending on what religion they choose and all that.
I think it's just so amazing.
If you're at a bar and taking tequila, that'd be interesting.
When it comes to vices, people will find a way. I mean, even with strip bars with COVID, they had drive-through strip bars. They're going to find ways to drink. They're going to find ways to gamble somehow, whether it's online or whatever. But when they have their vice, people find a way. But that is interesting. I didn't hear about that with the church.
Yeah, that caught me. And then because that goes with the gentleman in Staten Island that did the autonomous zone that I think he got arrested. And then the people were protesting doing in response to that, which, listen, I don't want any harm to be done, but I would love, Frank, we're going to have to start a political PAC or something to help support, like, you'd call it the most peaceful revolution or the biggest and peaceful revolution, but it'd be great to see all small businesses reopen. Because even in, so the lady in California did you see that video on Facebook about?
I did see that. It was very sad.
That damn near made me cry.
It was sad.
This woman is on the verge of tears.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And is showing her business and all the money she put into it to help do the requirements and make sure she was following all the rules for outdoor dining.
The whole tent area. Yeah.
And I don't want to exaggerate the story, but when she pans her camera, there's no way that's 100 yards away from her. Do you think the setup?
No, it's
I mean, it is damn near catty corner, like a street light.
Yeah, so basically they're allowing it, right? What was the get together? What was it for? Dan?
It was a movie studio, or it was a studio Hollywood of some sort, but it was a catering thing, I guess. They could eat outdoors. Yeah, because
right
it was exempt.
Street, which is about 10 times the size of her tent. Same exact thing, same exact setup, but they told her she's not allowed to run her business. And they said that the other business was perfectly okay. This is the problem that we have in America. I can't believe that I think about Dan, you just said, well, we need to start a PAC. We really need to start a PAC to tell small businesses that they should be able to stay open. Just if it's the same rules, it's the same rules. That's fine if it's the same, but they're not the same rules. And that's what you're seeing where even in Staten Island, I mean, you're looking at 2-3 blocks away, all the restaurants were allowed to stay open. But at this side, no, they're not. And it really is crazy. The heart of this matter, the funny thing, Dan, that comes from this is you're forcing these businesses to shut down, right? You're forcing them.
Yep.
So what do? You say, okay, we're going to help you out. And they helped them out. Now, that was 6 months ago. They need more help. And now these asshole politicians, right? They can't pass a stimulus package. Why? Why can't they pass a stimulus package? It's not because they don't both sides agree. It's because a lot of states, if you look at Newsom, you look at Cuomo, I mean, there's no argument. Destroying New York, destroying California, right? I mean, just the mass exodus of people, right? The mass exodus of people because of your policies, right? Now, the reason why these stimulus bills aren't passing is because the states want more funding for all the bad policies. So they want to be funded because they're getting crushed. And yet you have these small business owners where you're saying, you can't open, but wait, do we know you? Yeah, you're cool. Okay, you could open, right? Right next to each other.
Yep.
You're forcing them to close and you're not giving them help now. You're not giving them help. It's been 2 to 3 months that the second phase of this stimulus is supposed to come out, and our politicians cannot have this go out. Not because they don't agree that these people need it. It's because they're throwing so much in there that they want, and they'll refuse to pass it unless these things go through, which kind of tells you one thing: the importance of the Georgia runoff.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if that happens, you're going to have one party, regardless, even if it's on the other side of Republicans. That's where we do the worst economically, because it's just, hey, these are our policies and we're going to push everything through. It's nice to have that check to be like, no, wait a minute. We got a couple questions about this. But a lot going on, and it's just, sitting back and watching these small businesses get crushed. I mean, I'm in Florida. It's amazing. People are traveling here and saying, wow, I just can't believe it. You guys are open. You're practicing social distancing. I'm like, why wouldn't everybody else be doing this? And I know cases are exploding, but you have a 99.5% survival rate. It doesn't mean 70-year-olds should go out without masks and say, hey, go party and hang out. We know that this disease targets 70 and over. We know that it targets people with underlying conditions. But everyone else, it was over 85% of the people that get COVID get very mild symptoms. I'm not discounting the deaths out there. I know people that actually died from COVID. I'm not discounting it, but you have to look at the other side. It's not just black and white. I mean, the other side is keeping people home, keeping kids home, right? Closing schools when we know that the stats on the kids are a joke, right? I mean, they barely get this. They don't transmit this disease, right? Very few cases. I mean, I've read all the studies. I've looked at tons and tons of research on this, but just to see what's going on out there is pretty insane. I guess I went off a little bit on that, but yeah.